Hello and welcome to the finals of Grand Prix Brussels. I'm Tim Willoughby, joined by Moraine Lebbert and Gabriel Nassif, the Hall of Famer, and we have the iconic match from this entire event right here, summing up the two big decks of the format. On the left of our screen, that's Lukas Blohon. He is playing Esper Dragons. He has already fought his way through this exact matchup twice in the top 8, but the Rally the Ancestors deck has been so successful in the Swiss that it was able to put 3 players in the top 8, and if Lukas Blohon wants to be able to walk away with the trophy, he will need to defeat it one more time. Simon Nielsen, he was on the Danish World Magic Cup winning team last December, and an absolute powerhouse with this deck, as were so many of the Eureka team. They really seem to have found something special for this standard format, but Esper Dragons may have its number. We can see Lukas Blohon just shuffling up. He knows what to do. He's done it before. Can he do it one more time?
He's got to feel pretty good, and no offense to Simon Nielsen, but I also think he dispatched the most competent rally pilot possibly in the person of Martin Müller in the semis. So you've got to feel pretty good if you're able to beat Martin in that exact matchup. Magnus Lento, that game loss, obviously not the way things were supposed to go. After winning game 1, Magnus Lento forgot to adjust on the side and presented an illegal 59 card deck, so that was unfortunate. But
yeah, I spoke a little to Magnus about that, and he sort of said, yeah, bad things happen, I won't do that one again. But given that they've got 2 teammates in the top 8 as well, hopefully one of them can get revenge for me. The first shot at revenge did not work out.
Yeah.
This is the last bullet in the gun, though. Simon Nielsen potentially able to make sure that Lukas Blohon isn't able to fully capitalize on the mistake of Magnus Lento in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, the Lukas Blohon tournament has been so impressive so far. He lost 1 game yesterday. In 6 rounds, he lost 1 game. In the 9th round against his friend Ivan.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And today he had to do some battling. He picked up a quick loss against, I believe, Martin Müller, but then did battling he did, and now he's in the finals.
Yeah, so if we want to talk about percentages, if you take out that mirror match loss, he possibly, that's 5-0 day 1, another maybe 5-1 day 2.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, you can't win a GP without winning a lot of matches.
Yeah, so that's like 92, 93% win rate so far for.
And funny enough, though, Lukas Blohon in the last round of the Swiss, he was on the brink of losing, but he was playing against his friend Andre, and they actually drew once they figured out they had the best chance of making the boat into the top 8 with a draw.
Yeah, well,
yeah, so they finished 7th and 8th. Lukas Blohon has been on the draw for this entire top 8 because he did finish in 8th. Simon Nielsen finished 2nd in the Swiss, electing to play here, and here we see Lukas Blohon already on a Malta 6, looking for the tools he needs, but at this point he has a very good idea of what those tools should be.
So Lukas starting at a disadvantage here. Let's see what he comes up with. The classic turn 1 tank, which land to play. Was already the case with the Scry lands in the previous standard, so.
Yeah, I feel like Wizards R&D are putting more thought in their lands to make it less obvious which land to play first. This is the 2nd block in a row where they actually created something which has not been the case in Standard for quite some years. I mean, in Legacy, your first turn is the most important one. In Standard, it used to be the least important one, but with these battle lands and with the temple lands, it's actually more important.
Yeah, I must say, if I'm going to lose to an issue around lands, I'd much rather it was an issue where if I'd thought about it a bit harder, I could have solved it, rather than simply not drawing the right number of them. As it is, Simon Nielsen has Jace Vryn's Prodigy on turn 2. One of the more powerful turn 2 drops in the format, and certainly one that he'll be very happy with here.
And it sticks. No ultimate price for Lukas Blohon. So things looking good for Simon. He's going to get to loot, get rid of a Jace, it looks like.
I think that...
Okay, Sidisi's Faithful.
Yeah, the Sidisi's Faithful going to the bin. Zilport Cutthroat hitting play.
Yeah, not the most impressive 2-drop.
Yeah, that one of your synergy 2-drops on its own doesn't do a great deal, but once you have a flooded board, it will do all sorts of good work. And we can see both a Rally the Ancestors and a Collected Company in Simon Nielsen's hand. Those powerful instants, if he resolves either of them at key time, will dramatically change the face of this game.
Well, his other options as a 2-drop was a second Jace, so I think it's
Yeah,
the best 2-drop he
I
can
think
play.
Elvish Visionary might be slightly better in the early
Yeah,
turns,
of
but you,
course.
you definitely want to cut throat at some point in the game, in most games anyways, but I think you'd maybe be a bit happier with the Visionary, but you're right, there's not like that many 2-drops.
Like his 3-drops are a lot better, that's for sure, but he had double Evolving Wilds, I believe, so he just didn't have a third land which comes into play untapped, which is actually often the case with this deck. With so many fetch lands, he only had one basic land so far, so a battle land would come into play tapped as well. They only have 4 basic lands and then the fetch lands, which need to align very well so that he can search up the missing colors.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to have untapped land on turn 2, 3, and 4. It does happen, but not too bad for the deck that doesn't really have real 1-drops besides, Sidisi's Faithful in some matchups like against red decks.
Yeah, Lanto was saying when I was talking to him a little bit about this deck that one of the big challenges to getting up to the top levels of win percentages with it is getting a feel for which lands to play and when.
The 90% win percentage.
It can't be that hard.
On the
I mean,
weekend.
Once you've played the deck a bunch, I'm sure you have it figured out. So, yeah, Simon, who passes a turn, plays a forest land, untapped land, Windswept Heath. He's going to try to resolve a Collected Company, probably on Lucas's upkeep.
And going for an on upkeep there, so it puts Lucas to a decision, right? He can either counter and not do anything else with his turn, or let it through, but then...
And Lucas is playing very aggressively, knowing it's not going to get any better at this point, decides to cast Foul Tongue Invocation, getting rid of a Cutthroat.
Yeah, Invocation is just so bad in this matchup. It's
Yeah, I mean, it's lesser evil right now. It's going to give him a bit more life, so might buy him a turn or two when he needs it to take the game over, or something like an Ojutai.
But let's see what happens with Collected Company. We've seen a full whiff on Collected Company in this top 8. That's certainly not what we want. Creatures galore.
Yeah.
2 3-drops is perfect. Catacomb Sifter and that Grim Harrispect.
and now Simon says, "Thank you for that Foul Tongue Invocation. I'll happily sacrifice my Cutthroat and draw a card."
Yes, scry and draw a card, so it seems like it's a no-brainer for Simon.
He's actually thinking about sacrificing the Sifter, valuing the scry less important than the Cutthroat.
That's really interesting, especially with Lucas gaining 5 life. I feel like it's kind of greedy on Simon's part. I think he overestimates how far ahead he is and how helpless Lucas is in that spot, but I don't know, I could be wrong.
Duress has a hit here. 1 copy of Rally the Ancestors in hand, leaving Sidisi's Faithful, Jace Friend's Prodigy, and another Catacomb Sifter there. Of course, with Jace in play, next turn Jace can flip and potentially flash back that Rally if needed, but without a sacrifice outlet, Rally gets a little bit messy.
Yeah, I'm really not quite sure about that play on Simon's part. It might not matter, but I feel like the Scry effect is more important than the Dre Knife effect at this point in the game.
Look at that trophy. Who's gonna grab it? Lukas Blohon or Simon Nielsen? Simon in good shape in this game. He can actually flip the Jace and flash back the Collected Company, hoping to draw the Nantuku Husk with that. Or is he just gonna play the Sifter? Yeah.
No, he doesn't need to go too crazy. I mean, he can just add more threats to the board. He knows Lucas only has 1 main deck, Crux of Fate. And now that he kept the Cutthroat, that's a lot of damage potentially on Simon's part. So maybe that was all part of the plan.
Foul Tongue Invocation number 2. So would this constitute a bad draw for you, Moraine, for the Esper Dragons deck?
It's a super good draw against Abzan.
So that's a mulligan to 4 in your book.
Yeah, he mulliganed to 6 and then drew 2 Foul Tongue Invocations.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, what have they done? They have given Nielsen a card and the Scry, and now they're getting rid of a Cyan token.
I know they're keeping
It's 8 life.
They're keeping
Yeah.
Lukas alive.
If all it's there for is the life gain, then I don't think it's quite good enough, typically.
They're giving Lukas a little bit of hope.
A little bit of hope's a valuable thing.
So, anything else? I don't think so. Simon is maybe thinking about looting main phase. Should he wait? Should he loot right now? I think you just want to loot and pick it up, right? I'm not sure why you'd wait.
It gives you the option of potentially drawing something of value. I mean, the only spell that he would be able to cast here would be a Sidithi's Faithful. As it is, he discards one.
You can cast another Jace. You have the Cyan token. I think he
Oh,
hasn't
yeah, that's
played-
true.
He hasn't played a land yet either. So can potentially even cast a 3-drop, something like a Husk. Yeah, we see there's a Jace in Simon's hand, which he is probably going to play. I don't see a downside to adding a Jace to the board right now.
Flooded Strand to fetch another land. At this point, enough basics in play that any of the Battle for Zendikar lands
Yeah,
will be coming into
Probably
play.
going to be a
untap.
sunken hollow. Get a second black source.
And when your board is Grim Haraspects, you don't even mind playing the second Jace.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you draw a card, drain your opponent for one, scry one, so you still get some value out of it.
Yeah, you get a weird sort of sorcery that does all sorts of strange business.
All right, so Lukas drops the Ojutai. That's the best thing he could hope for. So it's probably not going to be enough, but if there's a way, that's the way it needs to start.
Well, there's a collected company in hand for Simon Nielsen. He doesn't even need to look at flashing back the one in the graveyard.
Yeah, that's bad news.
And if we see a Nantuko Husk here, then that's kind of combo assembled. Catacomb Sifter and another Grim Haruspex. Well, it's not the combo he was looking for,
Yeah.
but it's still not too shabby. An awful lot of ways of scrying
Yeah.
and drawing cards now, so
And Simon's choice of keeping a Cutthroat over Sifter surely looking good right now.
yeah, he's got a big board to attack with, and if Lukas Blohon does much about that big board, then if anything, it's even worse for him than leaving it around.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna see, yeah, even suicide attacks are good now. Draw 2 cards.
Yeah, if you're Lukas here, why would you block?
Yeah, I don't think you want to block, but what's his way out? I mean, he has cards like Other End and Complete Disregard to, maybe start taking apart Simon's board, exiling creatures, exiling the Grim Haruspex to hope to later Crux of Fate, but that seems like unlikely, so not too sure what Lukas is supposed to do in that spot.
Yeah, the usual plan for a Esper deck would be Ugin, but the Czech players have opted not to play Ugin
Yeah,
because they had enough expensive cards and they just felt like it's not very well positioned in
they
this format.
just can't afford with 6 dragons already to have like more cards that are going to sit in their hand in the early turns.
Well, Dragonlord Ojutai, not the draw that Lukas Blohon needed. He gets another bite of the cherry here. Anticipate as Dragonlord Ojutai deals damage to Simon Nielsen.
There's an Other End, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, given that all of the creatures in Simon Nielsen's deck cost 3 or less, the spells, well, the most expensive spell you're likely to cast is Rally the Ancestors with X being 3, so an instant cost 5 mana spell. It's quite difficult to get ahead of the Rally deck on mana because everything it's doing is very mana efficient.
So Lukas has Other End. Can he play 2 spells in a turn? Can he play maybe Other End plus Ultimate Price? Buy himself a bit of time. As long as there's no husk, there's a tiny bit of hope for Lukas.
Yeah, these are the games which, if you're playing for fun, you just scoop.
I like playing those games out. They're over quickly, anyways. You're gonna lose fast or win fast, regardless. Maybe not win fast, but you need to play those games out just to make sure.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So I'm saying there's a chance. Other end decides to get rid of the cutthroat.
Yeah,
and that makes sense because it means that the big combo kill of make an Nantuko husk, don't even need to attack, becomes an awful lot harder.
Yeah, it also makes a Crux of Fate somewhat of an out, even though Simon would get to draw a lot of cards and quality cards since he gets to scry too.
This is also 12 damage. He's now at 3. He's got a lot of cards. I think this turn the game's gonna end. He even got the Sidisi's Fateful to like bounce Catacomb Shifter, and all he needs to find is another cutthroat.
Yeah, but yeah, I think his out is draw Crux of Fate and hope Simon never sees a husk for the foreseeable future, but that seems so unlikely.
He says go. He's actually respecting Sulimgar's corner because he could have flashback collected company. Yeah, but
Lukas gonna get in. Is there a Crux of Fate? No, and that's gonna be game 1.
Game 1, pretty decisively going to Simon Nielsen on rally.
yeah, Lukas did mulligan to 4.
Yeah.
The 6-card hand with not necessarily the cards that he's likely to be keeping in for games 2 and 3.
So we talked a bunch about the sideboard plan for Lukas. What I'm curious about is Simon going to bring in something like Murderous Cut or Valor Stance? Because we saw those dragons consistently take over the game for Lukas, and I think that it might be correct to maybe bring in 1 or 2 removal spell, maybe bring out like more Elvish Visionaries, maybe even board out all the cutthroats. Like the matchups become way grindier after sideboard, and it's like much harder to assemble those big rallies because, as you said, he's bringing in Lukas is bringing in one horribly awry. He's bringing in more negates, so cards like Collected Company and Rally are not going to resolve as often, and your cutthroats kind of get a bit worse. So maybe the plan is just to bring in a lot of removal spells, and not only does Lukas have to deal with the annoying creatures and your expensive spells, but also has to make sure his dragon lives.
Yeah, or maybe keep like 1 or 2 Sidisi's Fateful. These all are also an answer to Dragon Lord Ojutai for 2 turns. Like you bounce it, then he has to replay it, and it gets some value from the Collected Company. Also gives you some value with Grim Haruspex. I don't know. I've seen it be very good. You can also bounce if you've got a Elvish Visionary. Bounce your own Visionary. Bounce your own Sifter. So it's at least some value. Like a card like Murderous Cut. Usually I don't like sideboarding against defensive decks, but this one, the Dragon Lord Ojutai, is really the only way for Lukas to win. And if you can then deal that final blow with that Murderous Cut, it might actually be worth it.
Yeah, like obviously it's a card that gets duress, that gets countered, but what it does is like make your you have more cards Lukas has to deal with, and maybe eventually you run him out of counters, and the game goes longer. He can't kill you with his dragons, and
so it sounds to me like what we're saying is, if I'm understanding this right, that Murderous Cut might be a reasonable sideboard card for Simon Nielsen.
Yeah.
He's got 4 of them. Valorous Stance might be a reasonable sideboard card. Dispel and Duress, I think that we're all in agreement, are a pretty solid pickup against control. And we've seen Abzan Ascendancy as well against a control deck. So the only card in his sideboard that we're pretty confident not going to be coming in is Arishin Cleric.
Yeah, that's about it. And yeah, Sidisi's Faithful is kind of nice because we see a lot of the games being lost because there's no husk, no sack outlet, and he has his Ascendancy out. He has a Grim Haruspex, a Sifter, and he just has no way to. So Sidisi's Faithful is a really tough one because it's really low impact, but sometimes it's like the effect you're missing. Even bouncing Jace for a turn can be a good play. filling up your graveyard. So it's tough. But
I mean, it's nice to have options in a general sense.
yeah,
But right now, having so many options, there's almost the opportunity to dilute your deck so it doesn't do a great deal. And I can't help but think that giving Lukas Blohon too much time could be a dangerous proposition, because ultimately his cards do have more individual impact than those coming from Simon Nielsen's deck.
yeah, and I wonder if Simon had a little chat with Martin before the final, maybe like reevaluate their sideboard plan, because obviously Lukas, obviously it's not working very well, you know.
I mean, we only have sideboard information from the match against Müller.
Yeah, but that's still 2 games. That's maybe like other. I'm not sure who he played in the Swiss, but I think he's beaten the deck at least once today. I could be wrong. So yeah, maybe something like boarding out the Faithful, the four Cutthroats, and I'm not too sure. Maybe some of the Visionaries.
Okay, I don't think he has to bring in all the 4 cuts, the 4 Murderous Cuts. Like, Valor Stand's probably even better, because that one can actually save a creature from... Well, is there actually from Murderous Cut?
Yeah, that's
not from
Murderous Cuts gets rid of Jace, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's also...
it's... I mean, I don't know, like... how's Lukas gonna win, though, if like Simon just has like so many cards Lukas has to counter? I mean, he can get ahead with dig through times, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a thin line. You know, it's hard to balance. Like, you don't want to dilute your deck too much, make the companies too bad. Like, I don't know. Maybe even like somehow board out companies and just bring in Murder Scots.
That can be right.
I mean, I know from my perspective. I mean, obviously my deck is a bit different, but the Black-Green Aristocrat deck I play. When I play against Dark Jeskai, I actually board out the 4 companies and bring in all 15 cards, and I turn into an Outpost Seat removal deck. And since I've diluted my deck so much, the companies aren't good anymore, and I just board them out and turn into some kind of control deck, and I get card advantage from Smothering Abomination, Grim Haruspex, and Evolutionary Leap, and just try to grind them out. I'm not saying it's right, but...
It's an option for sure.
It's an option.
But... effectively, we're seeing the culmination of 2 teams' worth of effort on this matchup here. Each of these players on a very successful team. Team Eureka on the right, the Cabin Crew on the left. And this potentially could be the final game of our finals, depending on exactly how each player is drawn and how each player has chosen to sideboard. So initially, not a whole lot going on, just Sunken Hollow on both sides of the table. And we will see soon enough if either player has the quick Jace to try and get ahead, or if we're going to have a grindy matchup of a different stripe.
Turn 2 Jace, perfect draw, perfect start for Lukas Blohon. Pretty much all he does in the early game. Of course, he can keep up the Scorn, but the only card that's worth countering is his opponent's Jace, and he might even have a removal. I think I saw the complete disregard to get rid of Simon Nielsen's Jace.
Yeah, so much better start for Lukas. Lukas only has 3 Jace in his main deck, and he doesn't have the 4th one in his sideboard. We saw Juice's list, I think, play the 4th one in the sideboard. Lukas decided against it, but I'm guessing he wouldn't mind having the 1st copy for that matchup.
It's a pseudo mirror match. They've just got Jace in play. It's easy.
This was one of the changes Lukas would make. He would add the 4th Jace instead of the Ojutai's command.
Oh, okay, that's what he said. Yeah, that makes sense.
He said it wasn't all that bad. The 3rd Jace, the 4th Jace was not necessary, and he said he did win a couple of games because of having 1 extra spell instead of that Jace. But in some matchups you just need it, especially now. If the matchups are going to be Esper Dragons and Rally the Ancestors, you really want to have 4.
Yeah, in that metagame. I don't know, it seems like you go a little too deep when you play only 3 copies of a card like Jace. I don't know, it seems wrong to me, but who knows.
Well, he's in the finals.
He is in the finals.
We're watching the finals.
And he's winning the Jace war right now. But the first bit of information we have is we know that, yes, Simon Nielsen does have collected company.
Yeah.
I think it's actually right to sideboard out 1 or 2 Cutthroats at least.
Yeah, that's like kind of what I was talking about. It's like solo impact. I mean, it's yeah.
it needs like 5 or 6 creatures in play to have some impact, and when you have 5 or 6 creatures, you're probably winning anyway. Like, what are the 5 or 6 creatures gonna be that you're not winning?
No, I mean, I guess it's true. Like, sometimes, you're like, all right, the only cards that can save me is, the Cutthroat, because I have no reach and I'm getting beaten down by a dragon or something. But, sometimes by having too many Cutthroats, you just don't get to that point in the game where you have a shot. So it's once again, it's really hard to find the right mix and to have the answer.
I mean, I guess that they do get a lot better in multiples.
Infinite Obliteration.
All right.
No
we
more
haven't
Husk.
seen it in this matchup at
no,
all.
not yet, but it's going to be great. Probably naming Husk.
Yeah, they discussed it.
Oh, wow. All spells. Oops, all spells from Simon Nielsen.
Triple Coco.
3 Collected Company, 1 Rally the Ancestors. If you can resolve... Well, if he resolves all of them, then he's laughing, even if there is a lack of Nantuko Husks in his deck.
But next turn it will be a lack of Nantuko Husk and Grim Haruspex.
Oof, yeah. And this is Lukas Blohon getting a full look at the sideboard plan. He sees that, yes, there's Abzan Ascendancy in there. He wants to know exactly what he's up against.
He sees only 2 Visionaries, so I think...
Yeah, that's one of the cards that got trimmed. He's thinking about what he's going to name.
Yeah, because there is going to be the opportunity to flash
four
back
vision.
this Infinite Obliteration very soon, thanks to Jace.
I mean, there's no way he's going to name Elvish Visionary, right?
I think Grim Haruspex. How is Simon gonna win without Husk and without Grim Haruspex?
I mean, he could hit one of the Collected Company. He needs to hit one. He needs something really good. Yeah, I'm not so sure it's gonna be much fun playing the rally deck in the upcoming weeks. You might just see like 4 Infinite Obliterations in people's sideboards.
Infinite Obliteration?
Exactly. Infinite Obliterations.
Yeah.
Obliterating the infinite rallies.
Plus this way you negate ramp.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're only putting them in for a single deck.
Sorry, Eldrazi ramp.
Might
Upcoming weeks are not good for you.
Might be decent in the mirror match too, like 1 or 2 copies.
No Jace for you.
No Jace, no Dragon Lord Ojutai. Yeah.
And it's one of those cards that you always have to feel a little bit wary about playing because it does not impact the board.
Exactly.
But in this case, Simon Nielsen's deck, what's on the board is often not the scary bits. What's in the graveyard, what's coming next.
It should be pretty good, but who knows? Maybe we're going to just see, a bunch of companies into like Sifter and Grim Haruspex. And then, Lucas can't afford to flash it back next turn because or else he knows there's another company co. That's going to be huge. He needs something good. He has at least a Jace. And wow. So
I'm not going to say it's a swing and a miss, but it doesn't feel like top of the pops hits here.
Nope, it's pretty bad, and his company's now getting worse and worse.
Well, he did get value off his Cutthroat.
That is true.
1 trigger.
Did he remember it though?
He's still at 20. He did fetch 1, so yeah, he remembered it.
Yeah.
If that's the way that you're going to be dealing a single point of damage, I'm not sure that's the way you're going to be winning.
Yeah, so Lucas gotta be feeling pretty good.
He's gonna go for Dragon instead of... I'm surprised. He knows about the double Collected Company.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he's scared. Like, Grim Haruspex without Husk, as we've seen, is like not all that scary.
I mean, almost every creature in the deck without Husk is just a random dude.
Yeah, I mean, you have Jace to plus it. You have Clerics to block, block without trading. So yeah, double Visionary. It's gonna be really, really, really hard.
Draws another Elvish Visionary along with a land.
Maybe he should just next level for next game, just board. No, I guess he can't do that. There's only 1 Infinite Obliteration. I was gonna say just board out the Husks and the company and bring in all the removal spells. Blank the first copy of Infinite Obliteration.
That would be a bold move.
That might be a bit too deep. So scatter the winds, Arishan Cleric, another blue card.
Yeah, the Arishan Cleric actually super good now. Well, he doesn't have white,
Yeah,
so I wouldn't say super good.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that Lukas is gonna lose is that one cutthroat and all of the 1/1s having a 1/3 that gains you 3 life.
I mean,
is super valuable.
yeah, he does have a complete disregard in his graveyard, which can flash back. So I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
I mean, I kind of like, the more I think about it, just casting Ojutai the turn after the Infinite Obliteration and saying, do you want to race?
Yeah, there's nothing.
I've got a 5-power flyer.
Yeah, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Even like double Grim Haruspex or that's
Grim
not even.
Haruspex Sifter would be pretty good.
Would it?
It's fine, but there's nothing he can't deal with. So, alright, picks up the Jace, says go. Sitting on a counter, potentially a dig for time too.
Yeah, I mean, all these collected companies, you know, you've got a company, but the chairman of the board has already been fired. This is not going well for Simon Nielsen at all here.
Another visionary.
Lukas just nods. Go for it. What's the best you can do at this point? He draws another collected company. Dark days here for Simon Nielsen. He's a game up, so even if this one continues to go the way that it appears to be going, there's still plenty of potential in this final. But an attack for 2, it's a little sad.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad for Simon
This
here.
game's sad for Simon. It ended on turn 3,
Kind
right?
of interesting though.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that I'm very happy to see how a game goes once Infinite Obliteration goes off, because this is a very, very useful piece of information for me and for you and for everyone else that's going to be playing Standard in the next weeks and months, because if this sideboard plan is good, then I think that we're going to see quite a bit more of it.
That's true. So Jay sticks up. Doesn't have much to flash back, and there's the dig.
Getting rid of a few lands, those are not going to be too much of a worry.
Yeah.
Everything that's left in that graveyard is pretty scary.
Keeps 2 mana up. I'm not sure if it's to have a Scorn available or in case he digs into ultimate price. Maybe ultimate price getting rid of Cutthroat. Probably just want to make sure Simon doesn't resolve more collective companies.
Because the first ones went so well for him.
I think he's got to take the Cleric.
Yeah,
The
there's a
Cleric is-
negate, there's a Cleric.
Oh, he doesn't have white mana
Still no
yet.
white though, yeah.
Oh, Cleric plus white mana? Is that a little bit too low value?
Yeah, I think you want maybe negate plus. Yeah, I mean you're digging with Ojutai. You're bound to find a white source within the next 4 cards, or next 8 cards. Doesn't even need it for next turn. Negate Cleric seems fine. Not sure what the other options are.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of on a protect the queen plan.
Yeah,
Your Dragon Lord Ojutai will secure you the win relatively fast.
Yeah. He's saying no to a dig for time, saying no to a duress. Negate and Cleric it is. Here's another Scorn.
Counters galore.
Yeah.
Attack.
Get in for 5.
3.
Oh, 3, that's right. No, still no white mana. I think it was all breaks, wasn't it? Like an island, an Ojutai, and a swamp.
Yeah.
It's a bold move, siding out all your white mana sources in order to bring in your Infinite Obliteration.
Luckily he kept the Haven.
Yeah. Plus the chase, plays an island, says go. So Simon's like, do I actually have a shot? Alright. Company gets negated.
First shot fired.
Yeah, so that's only 3 damage for Simon, and we know there's, I think, 2 Silumgar Scorns in Lukas' hands, so Simon was the dispel though, so might be able to force a spell for eventually.
But I guess technically at this point, the 4-1-1s are attacking for more than Ojutai is. It's not inconceivable that at some point Simon Nielsen might get a board of utterly unimpressive creatures that can beat down for just enough.
Yeah. Jace keeping Ojutai in check.
Yeah, this is not necessarily the matchup where I think you want to be going for ultimate on Jace if you're Lukas Blohon.
Yeah, he tried it once, didn't work out.
Yeah, lots of decisions for Simon, and you gotta think the players are tired at this point. Like, it's pretty, especially, game's been going long, especially for Lukas. So mistakes are not out of the questions, and we might see the players taking a bit more time than usual. Plays a fetch land. Pluses on Ojutai, says go.
Duress a pretty good draw. Like, the way Simon can win this game is by firing a couple of spells in once. But if you make sure you Duress first, you know what's up. Maybe even find a white source to gain some life. Dragonlord Ojutai also. Dragonlord Silumgar also a pretty good one.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's going to tap
Silumgar
out for that one.
Could steal a Jace. Planeswalker uniqueness rule away the Jace.
First ultimate your own Jace, then steal your opponent's Jace.
That's not bad either. I think Lukas at this point is assuming there's no removal spells in Simon's deck after sideboard.
And he hasn't seen one. So Lukas here in that lovely spot that we were speaking about earlier on about having options. Whereas Simon Nielsen kind of having to nickel and dime his way through at this point. Tiny little pecks away at the Esper Dragon life total.
Cleric +3, pretty good. 1/3 against all 1/1s, pretty good.
Yeah, finally found that white source.
Think
Yeah,
we're
in
going to
Battle of the
3.
Commons, the 1/3 defeats the 1/1s pretty spectacularly.
This is Pauper with some mythics.
Gate, Dispel, Silumgar Scorn. So Lukas decided not to cast the rest, sitting on 3 counter spells, which seems reasonable. I don't know, you gotta be a bit uneasy if you're Lukas though.
Yeah, he has just burned through a large amount of counter magic.
I wouldn't feel uneasy.
You wouldn't feel uneasy?
He still got the J's at 10.
Yeah, if you don't have a Husk, does Absent Rally even do anything anymore?
No, he could do it end of turn and then attack, right?
Gets you
Or
some
is that at the beginning of the upkeep?
No, it's beginning
beginning
of
of the
upkeep. There's
upkeep,
no way
yeah.
of attacking with them.
No.
Without
So
haste, Rally the Ancestors at best.
Gives you tokens from Science, gives you a draw step maybe from Visionary,
yeah,
couple draws.
you can sacrifice your Sifter tokens to trigger Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Sidisi's Faithful, if it's still in, will give him a way of getting an
it's
extra
probably
sacrifice.
not though.
I think it should be.
Yeah, we know.
Just saying.
No, I mean, I agree. It might not be the worst. Like having one, it's like I think you never want to draw 2, but I think drawing the 1, especially with 4, if you keep in all 4 rallies, is like reasonable.
Are we going to end up with a version of this deck that runs the likes of Vampiric Rites or similar just to have another way of sacrificing creatures?
Evolutionary Leap would be pretty good.
Yeah, 1 copy of Leap would be decent. Like, yeah, I mean, 1 Faithful would be so good right now. It would like bounce Ojutais, make Abs and Rally somewhat relevant.
Yeah, Rally the Righteous right now, Rally the Ancestors, sorry, just almost a dead draw.
Yeah.
One card that could get him out of here is the Absent Ascendancy, I think.
I mean, is he even losing creatures like?
Oh, simply to pump his team.
Yeah, pump his team.
Oh, right. Good point. Yeah, I completely forgot the first ability. Yeah, that would most likely be a must counter for Lukas. But Simon's running out of time.
Yeah, Lukas has been able to sit back on his Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Did he take it with the Dictor time?
Yeah, possibly he decided he didn't even need it.
Would be funny if we see double ultimate on Jace. Like ultimate my own Jace, steal yours, ultimate it.
Jace finally ticking
Two
down.
emblems.
And Lukas is gonna flash back a Dictor time, so not
R.I.P. to the notion of infinite obliterations.
Yeah.
Or more infinite obliterations, at least.
So deciding to not use a complete disregard, going for Dictor time instead, looking for more counter magic probably, maybe a second cleric.
Yeah, I'm not doubting Lukas for any of his plays anymore after beating 2 rally decks, going undefeated but 1 game in day 1. He's making the right decision every turn. We can be sure about that.
Alright, what does Simon have left in the tank?
He's
Or
got
is it
7 cards now. Ultimate Prize, Duress. But does he have the counters? And is there actually a spell which he needs to counter at this point?
yeah, maybe the Ascendancy, as you said, or is he just still? Is Simon even still dead on board even by resolving Ascendancy? Alright, so he's gonna rally for 2. I think just to get the 1 loot effect from Jace. Is there more?
It is what it is.
He's like a 4 mana cycle. I mean, I guess no, you don't even get to drain for 1.
Are there more cutthroats in the graveyard? I don't think so.
Maybe there's 2 Jaces in the graveyard, so he gets to drain for 1, draw a card. No, it's countered, so it must be decent.
Or he's sitting on 4 counters.
The Beulah Blue plan. There's another rally, so if Simon does want to try that one again, he has the option.
He can try twice with the Jace. Doesn't have the mana though, so. Lukas now at 11.
Yeah, so he's got 4 damage. Assuming Lukas just chumps with Cleric on her specs, he needs to find more.
Yeah, probably that the Cutthroat cannot really attack. Like, it can of course, but you don't really want to lose it. Chase goes up. Well, he can attack if he makes the Cleric a 0/3.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate we can't really tell what's in Simon's graveyard exactly.
I mean, from looking up here, it looks like aside from that Jace in there, really not much in the way of creatures. We've got Dispel, 2 Collected Company, 2 copies of Rally the Ancestors, quite a few lands. In fact, is that 4 Collected Company? I believe it is.
Maybe Lukas forgot about Nantukuhas being exiled. Maybe he thought that was the graveyard.
Maybe he just really likes casting counter spells. I can't fault him for that.
Well, both of these players taking their time. Oh, he actually drew Absent Ascendancy. That could be an interesting one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's enough though. So choosing to attack first. I mean, I think he knows Lukas has at least 1 more counter spell. Okay, keeping the
Gets in
cutthroat
3,
back.
4, 5, 6. Goes down to 5. But Lukas, yeah, by throwing some creatures under the bus, he also gains 1 life, which might buy him a turn.
Looks like Lukas wants to ultimate prize Grim Haruspex.
Yeah.
And there we have it.
Gonna
You got a death trigger. All that hard work, Simon, it was worth it. Up to 5.
But now he's putting Simon up to 6. That's kind of
Two
weird.
attacks.
Oh, I guess
No,
Ojutai
there's
is.
the Jace,
Yeah, there's the Jace anyway. So Ojutai's a 2-turn clock. It's getting late for us too. We're starting to make mistakes.
Well, I mean, the next death of a creature gets a little bit more problematic. I mean, the other thing is he is putting more creatures in the graveyard, which means that gradually a rally becomes more relevant. Well, it draws him more cards because he's got
the Visionaries.
The Visionary in the bin.
All right, what's next for Simon? He can afford to take down Jace now if he wants to. Now that he's up to 6. Even though if he takes down the Jace, he needs to make sure he has a blocker, because I think Lukas still has complete disregard in his graveyard, so he could exile the Cutthroat and attack for 6.
After combat, absent ascendancy?
Yeah, maybe he was trying to get that Visionary to die.
Yeah, if he plays the Absent Ascendancy before combat, then no block that Lukas Blohon makes is going to lead to any of Simon Nielsen's creatures dying.
Still a bit weird.
All right, where once we had 1/1s, now we have bears. Jace continues to tick up.
Yeah, despite losing his Nantuko Husk, he's still putting up a fight. He lost his best card on turn 3. Knew there wasn't much future for Israeli the Ancestors, but still he's like battling, got his opponent down to 7, and might actually, if he draws Sifter, that's another card now that needs to be countered. Because every creature that dies gives Simon a creature. There is still the Jace.
Every non-token
it's
creature that dies.
non-token, so the Scion doesn't actually give him a...
Okay.
And he even braked on the first... Well, kind of braked on the first company, only getting 2 Jaces. So imagine that Jace was a Sifter. That's like... Might have been enough to kill Lukas Blohon by now.
And he has the option here of casting a Rally the Ancestors for 2, getting back Elvish Visionary just to draw a card here if he so chooses.
And Jace.
And Jace, for what it's worth. So a couple of card draws there.
Two players taking their time, making sure they don't mess it up. Lukas making sure he doesn't
forget to attack.
Yeah, blow his lead away, and Simon going deep to figure out how he can win this game. Claim the trophy right now, not have to go to a third deciding game. The rest and land goes to the bottom, and
horribly awry in his hand here. In response to a duress, Simon Nielsen goes for a 2-point Rally the Ancestors. Do I want to counter this? If so, which one of my assorted counters do I want to use?
He probably does, right? I don't think there's a better card in Simon's deck right now.
Yeah, he still got Scorn and Scatter the Wind.
Yeah, so what is he really thinking about? I mean, if he has two hard counters, I think he just has Simon dead on board.
Yeah, with the Jace, he could like...
Yeah, draw into a Dispel, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I guess there was also the option of, I think he had enough mana there to Scatter the Winds and Awaken a land.
He actually has Dispel in his graveyard, right? So he can draw Rally, Collected Company, or no, Dispel doesn't. Yeah, Dispel.
Do those cards actually affect the board right away, though? Do they buy him that extra turn?
Yeah, I don't think there's a Sifter in the
Yeah,
graveyard.
if there's no Sifter.
Scatters the Winds there, the counterspell that potentially could awaken a land at some point.
He's trying to figure out a way. Is there a way I can bin one of my guys somehow? Get a token.
How about
Maybe you did bring in the murderous cuts. That'd be great.
Yeah, at killing Dragonlord Ojita.
Also true.
3 to 3. Not? Why isn't it 3? Isn't it 4 damage? Oh yeah, there's the Jace activation.
Yeah, looks like Simon forgot about it too. Not that it matters.
Look how good Arashin Cleric has been in this game.
Yeah, just so good.
No collective
Scatter
company
to the
for you.
winds.
Perfect card in Pauper. A Russian Cleric.
And Simon Nielsen here. A little shake of the head as... Yep,
That's game.
that ties it up. We are going to have one more game here at Grand Prix Brussels.
There's, I don't know. I've been enjoying those games. That matchup
Absolutely.
is like lots of fun to watch. It's like back and forth. You usually know who's gonna win, but it's not quite sure. And once in a while, the player who's behind manages to, turn the tables with it. Just kind of rare, and I guess maybe not that rare in standard, but
So many sideboarding options as well. I mean, certainly for Simon Nielsen, there's a number of different ways that he could choose to go, which will radically impact how games play out. I think that for Lukas Blohon, the cards that are good are more clearly good. The cards that are less good, it's a little clearer. But ultimately, I think that he has more difficult decisions to make during gameplay about exactly how he wants the game to play out.
yeah. But what do you do if you're Simon? Do you like stray away from what you've been doing all tournament in the last deciding game of the finals, or do you go with what you think is right but hasn't quite been working for you or your teammates in that top 8?
He
I
should
mean-
certainly shuffle his sideboard back into his deck, because Lukas Blohon has seen his deck with infinite obliteration. At least he needs to let Lukas guessing.
Yeah, I think the first removal spell has to have so much value, like that blowout value. I don't know.
I mean, the other big difference of this game to the last game is Simon Nielsen's back on the play. I don't know that when infinite obliteration is thrown into the mix that necessarily means that he's in far better shape, but imagine how that last game would have gone if the play and the draw were reversed. It did end up pretty close on live totals. I think that the extra attack step versus the extra card may well have worked in Simon Nielsen's favour, even in that last game. Just to let you know as well, even though this is the finals, even though it is untimed, both players have at this point received multiple cautions. Just to watch the pace of their play, those cautions can still get upgraded. Enough cautions, you start looking at warnings. Once you start looking at warnings, the next step up is game losses. And when there's only one game left in the entire tournament, that is not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, the odds of that happening are like close to none. It's kind of the only way. It's like a nice way of telling them to, hurry up, I think, and play a bit faster, play at a reasonable pace of play. I can't imagine like a head judge actually ending the tournament on a double.
I mean, I would hope that once someone has reached the point where they've had
multiple cautions in a game loss to speed
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
well, once they've had warnings and they know that their next warning is a game loss, that they realise to speed up.
And they're gone.
Looks like they need a quick break. I mean,
Maybe it's a deck check.
there's-
The decks are still on the table, though. It may be that, in fact, both of these players, after a fairly intense game one, and they did have to go into the finals from their semi-finals relatively quickly, that there's a little bit of a restroom break going on there. We're going to jump back over here rather than just showing you an empty feature match area. Tim Willoughby here, along with Moraine Lebert and Hall of Famer Gabriel Nassif. Honestly, I think this matchup's pretty electric. I'm actually genuinely really excited to see how the last game goes because, there's a lot going on. I mean, initially I was looking, so certainly from the way that the Swiss went and from the way that the top 8 was set up, that we might have had a Rally of the Ancestors mirror in the final. That one, an awful lot of things going on, but complicated in a way that makes commentary a little bit tricky. This I'm super happy about because there's so much interaction, there's so much opportunity for each deck to gradually sort of adjust what they're doing and change things for each other. Like, I'm really looking forward and intrigued to see how this last game goes, and even going forward, how these decks are potentially going to shift. I mean, I know that the Rally the Ancestors deck, at least, it's kind of tight. It needs to have lots of creatures that cost 3 or less. The spells are clearly, the spells that it has are clearly not going anywhere. Is it going to have the opportunity to add any spells? The sideboards, I think, are where these decks could really change, though.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to hate out a deck like Rally the Ancestors than it is to hate out Lukas Blohon's deck, like the Esper Dragons deck. Of course, you can always play, I don't know, probably Atarka Red, which seems to be a good match. Although it's not been the case in previous standard. People would think that Esper Dragons was bad against the red decks, and then the Esper Dragons were just bringing in Drown in Sorrows and lots of removals, and then you were actually looking at a bad matchup. In this particular case, they do have a couple of Russian Clerics as well, so I don't know how to hate out a deck like Esper Dragons. Whereas if I want to hate out Rally the Ancestors, I'm just going to bring in the Infinite Obliteration. We've seen it on the play. It's near to unbeatable, I think, if you're like putting up some pressure. It's not like Lukas did something unusual there. He just played the turn 5 Dragon to follow up the Obliteration, and that's all he did.
Yeah, as long as you don't get like crazy flooded or crazy screwed, you're like in a great spot if you get to remove all the husk. And I guess Esper Dragons just in the right spot right now, because it's a deck that was discarded by many players for the PT, the ones who decided to, most of the people who decided to play Esper Control when it was the Planeswalker route. But I guess Ugin's kind of become obsolete maybe in out of the control decks anyways, and you need another way to take over the game. Maybe the decrease in popularity in Dark Jeskai is the reason why Dragon's doing better. Maybe not sure how the Esper Dragons against Dark Jeskai matchup goes, but it has to be kind of tough to have your, go from Ugin being like a great win condition to Dragons who get Crackling Dooms, who get countered by Ojutai's command. So not too sure. I don't know, it's not quite clear to me yet why Esper Dragon's doing so good this weekend. And
I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in Standard, right? And I think that this weekend, a lot of people came in. I mean, certainly myself, I was looking at this format and thinking we could see a huge amount of Siege Rhinos here. And there were a lot of Siege Rhinos in the room. Abzan certainly showed up in big numbers. But it seems like the savvy players said, let's figure out a deck which we're comfortable with playing against Abzan. And the decks that have proven to be good against Abzan are now butting their heads against each other in the finals of this tournament. Now, where we'll be in a week's time, in a month's time, where we've got a slightly different metagame where perhaps people are having to make different considerations on their choices, if you start adjusting your deck too much to beat Rally the Ancestors or too much to beat Esper Dragons, does that in fact just open the door back again for Abzan? Is it simply going to be that the Abzan players need to get their reps in, get a bit more practice against the rally decks so that they know what they need to do on top of Anafenza in order to make their life work better?
Yeah, indeed. And the thing you say about Abzan, like in this tournament, the Abzan players, they thought, we've got Anafenza, we can never lose to Rally the Ancestors, except they were all losing to Rally the Ancestors. It was a pretty lopsided matchup when we saw it on camera. They probably didn't have too many infinite obliterations. If they had it, it was for the green Eldrazi matchup. But now, in the upcoming weeks, they're going to add some of these to the deck. They might actually be good against the Esper Dragons deck too as well, because the Dragons are the hardest part to handle for Abzan. And then maybe Abzan becomes best. That's one of the advantages of a deck like Abzan. You can adjust your sideboard such as is to beat like a certain strategy, whereas your strategy is just playing powerful spells. It's hard to really make a sideboard that will always beat Abzan. You can add Valorous Stances and roast as many as you want, but you will still lose the occasional game.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, I mean, coming in this tournament, I don't think people even expected like a Rally the Ancestors deck. You're like, maybe you play against one in the entire tournament, but probably not even. I mean, I don't even think it was just way under the radar. It didn't do well in GPND. Matt Nass played it at PT 7-3, so decent. But then you don't see it do well in GPND. You kind of discard it, and you're like, yeah, as you said, I have an Offenza. Even if people do play it, I think I'll be fine. And
turns out they weren't, but it also turns out that our players are back in the feature match area, shuffling up. We are going to go back to the match now. They're just going to do last little tweaks to sideboarding. We will, of course, keep talking. This is what we do. But these players, we don't want to miss any moment of the match. And, of course, once the match gets started, we want to be right in there with you. We don't want anything delayed. I think that we are going to see more of these decks. I think that much is clear at this point. One of the things with regard to the ability of Abzan to sideboard and to change itself to a metagame, we actually saw quite a bit this weekend because the Abzan decks almost naturally end up with a way of producing red mana, a way of producing blue mana. They really can go about as deep as you like when it comes to sideboarding. If it works out that the best possible card for them to play in the format is maybe Bring to Light, a way of just saying, those creatures are not coming into play from Collected Company. They're not coming to play from the Rally the Ancestors. They have the option to do that. If the correct answer is a red card, they have the option to take that. If the correct answer is a blue card, they can choose to do that, and it won't necessarily damage their mana base too much. And I would suggest that this is going to be the time where a lot of players look back at the format, look at the various decks in the metagame and say, maybe we need to go deep when it comes to our sideboard plans.
Yeah, I think Rally's reign is going to be short-lived. It's going to be kind of like a dredge deck where if people are ready for it, you're going to do poorly. More in obliterations. Maybe cards like Hallowed Moonlight start popping up. Maybe one in the main deck, couple more in the sideboard. So, it might be the kind of a dance where Rally's really good this weekend. Great choice. People, took people by surprise. People are going to be ready for it. Deck's going to completely disappear from the metagame, and then maybe, in a month or two, it's going to be the right time to take out the Rally deck again.
The players now considering their opening hands. There was just a little moment where Simon Nielsen wanted to make it clear that while two cards had kind of stuck together, he was only drawing the one. He wasn't drawing too many cards for his opening hand. Just got a judge to confirm that everything's cool there. Now considering his 7, it doesn't look like an absolute knockout of a 7.
Yeah, I think he had only one land.
Wow. Yeah, mulligan. That's not what you want to be doing. Mulligan on the play.
Nielsen's so unlucky. He has to mulligan in the third game of the finals of a GP. Man.
Hey,
yeah, it could have happened in round 4 and he didn't even get there.
Yeah.
As it is, Lukas stoic looking at his hand.
Looks like he kept. Yeah, mulligan, I think it really hurts the deck. We haven't seen the deck mulligan match. It's pretty consistent,
That's because most of the creatures,
are cheap and they're kind of cantrip-ish. Like you've got Visionary, Jace. Even Sifter can get you your force mana via the sign token.
So 6 cards. It looks like we've got land and spells here.
Well, he's got at least one land. A land, a Sifter.
A Chase.
Wow.
No, one land going down to 5.
And Lukas got to feel great right now. He's not showing it, but he's probably pumping the fist inside.
Yeah, it's the one that, it's not sportsmanlike to show it on the outside, but
yeah,
a lot of us, especially when there's something on the line.
Pretty much any Magic player will, tell you if they can, they'd rather win, close, long game, but they'll definitely take that kind of win over a loss any day, any time.
One famous streamer would go 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
Yeah. I think you go 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5. 4, you start feeling kind of like dirty and disgusting, but you're probably still it's probably still in the back of your mind.
All right, we definitely have at least 2 lands.
I
It
think
looks
that's
like 3 lands.
a Husk, and a Company.
Cutthroat on top.
That's a 2-drop, but I don't think that's the 2-drop he wants. Okay, he decided he just needed all the action
gingerly
he could
puts it on the top of his deck.
I think he needs to get.
Visionary.
Greedier there.
Chase. I think there's much better draws.
Yeah, just.
Lukas kept at 7.
Yeah.
Cutthroat, Husk, Company is a pretty good curve though.
Yeah, I guess it is. If Lukas maybe has a slow start, kept a a land that starts casting spells on turn 3.
Lucas does have the Jace to block the
He's
cutthroat.
got Jace, he's got Dig, he has...
Doesn't he have, like,
things a negate.
Harbly Awry maybe too? Okay, he's gonna decide to go with the Jace.
Alright, the door's open now for Nantuko Husk.
We've seen this before.
It's like, come on, man. I know what's in your deck. Show some respect.
Prairie Stream.
Alright, so he's got his 4 colors, his first white source. Can he do it? Mulligan to 5 on the play for Simon Nielsen. And he's got something going.
I mean, Nantuko Husk early is definitely a big part in many of this deck's more explosive draws. Oh, split
Correct
sleeve.
Yeah.
In the finals.
Oh, his bad luck just keeps on coming.
Is that the double sleeve deck?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh.
Tower of Power there, keeping all his cards nice and fresh. Gideon sleeves, but double sleeved inside there.
And Lucas has his third land, has his white mana source, says go, so far so good.
Plenty of basics. Snap block there from Jace. Just two damage coming through here to Lukas Blohon from that Nantuko Husk.
Alright. Simon decided not to respond to the fetch land with a collected company, leaving himself open to a potential Silumgar score, and maybe hoping that Lucas just plays a removal spell on his end of turn and Simon can sneak in the collected company. And nope, no opening. Lucas just untaps his Jace, draws for his turn. Not under much pressure at all.
Yeah, knowing that Simon is working on a smaller hand size from the get-go, Lucas perhaps content to say, I'm going to play it super safe.
I'm not sure what Simon's plan is. He mulliganed down to 5 and he's taking no risks at all. If you mulligan down to 5, I think you should take a little bit more risk, especially against a deck like Esper Dragons, which kept decisively on 7.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like Simon's line. I like that at least he didn't think about. He had made his decision before Lucas end of turn. Didn't barely pause, so didn't give too much away. I don't know. Maybe his chance is hoping Lucas gets comfortable, and I agree. You have to take some risks, but you still have to just take the line that you think is best for you. Gives you the best chance of winning the game.
I mean, there is at least one dig in Lukas Blohon's hand. It's possible that at some point he's going to tap low in order to be able to do it. But ultimate price there. Yes, that does deal with Nantuko Husk. And without the Husk in play, Simon Nielsen really without too much in the way of attacking power.
The low impact cutthroat once again.
Yeah, I mean, not that it was like anything else that really would have mattered, like
Jace, a Visionary.
Yeah, I mean that's probably cards
or even
that
a
are
removal spell.
that's probably cards that are still. Yeah, I mean, Murderous Cut would have been fine. A bit slow though. I mean, he can't cast it in the early turns.
Is Lucas just gonna jam out Ojutai?
I think he's fine to do so. I don't think he's. I mean,
Well, we've seen how much value one company can.
yeah, it's true.
Can
Like, I was
be.
gonna say what's the worst that can happen, but I guess company into rally can be a.
Coming into rally, given that the rally would get back an Nantuko Husk.
Yeah, it's a start. That's for sure. I think if he has a bunch of counter spells, he's gonna be content to just flip his Jace. Keep playing lands. Maybe wait till he has OG type plus Silumgar Scorn back up. Maybe wait till he draws a duress. Start picking apart the hand Simon has assembled.
And now Simon pulls the trigger on a collected company by the looks, or at least considers it. And once you've tapped the lands,
This was a little bit less executed than
I wonder
last
if
turn.
Lukas thinks it's legitimate or maybe like some kind of bluff from Simon. Not sure it's gonna matter too much.
Pump fake.
Yeah. Elvish Visionary, sure.
And there's Jace.
Might see. What's it gonna be? Complete disregard? Alright, dig for time.
Start with a dig. Delving 5.
It's gonna leave ultimate price and another card in his graveyard. Doesn't need the extra mana.
Yeah, you never know when you might need to delve for your second dig.
Exactly.
Second dig is one of the options here. It looks like Infinite Obliteration and Dragon Lord Ojutai also in the mix.
Yeah, Obliteration who targets graveyards too, so would get rid of the husk that's in the graveyard as well as the ones that are still in Simon's deck. But does he need it?
I think, yeah, he doesn't really. He certainly wants the Dragon Lord Ojutai. Second card, he could take the Infinite Obliteration. Yeah, depending on how many counters he's got.
It looks like he's decided he does not need the Infinite Obliteration.
Yeah.
That one shipped to the bottom. Unlikely to return anytime soon, barring fetch land shuffles and such like.
I don't know, it's kind of tempting for style points to go Obliteration your husks, flash it back, Obliteration your, I don't know, Grim Hair specs. But Lukas takes the less flashy, more conservative route.
I mean, he's at 14. It's a lot, but there's the Cutthroat in play. He's gonna go down to 13. He might have to fetch Polluted Delta is 12. So, yeah, even if he would get rid of both of these, there's still a chance he loses. Like hit double Sifter with the Collected Company.
He should be attacking Jace though. I mean, I understand. I feel like you should still be attacking Jace if you're Simon. He does have a second collect. He does have, still holding at least one company. I can't quite tell what else is in Simon's hand.
And now land number 7 for Lukas Blohon means he could go Dragon Lord Ojutai and 2 counter backup, but it's not what he's planning to do.
Yeah, Lukas Blohon playing with his food a little bit here. He's not necessarily going to end things quickly, but he will do so decisively.
He wants to play for his money. He doesn't want to win too easy.
Well, he's already phoned up to say he's not going to make his flight, so
yeah,
there's no real reason to
he
rush.
wants to make sure
all his friends are gone anyway.
He maximizes his chance of winning this game, no matter how long it takes.
Maybe he's hoping all of his friends have landed, got home, turned on their computers, and they get to watch him from back home.
Well, maybe this is the game where he will ultimate Jace and go for these style points.
I would allow it. Dig number 2.
Keeping up 4 mana. 4 mana, I think, he needs only 1 counterspell because Simon only has 5 mana. But by keeping a 4 mana, he also has the opportunity to go for an end of turn ultimate prize. I think the card he's mostly looking for is at the top of the pile there, a Duress. He wants to have more information before he goes Dragon Lord Ojutai.
Yeah, so maybe you go like Duress Ojutai with counterspell backup, or Duress this turn and then next turn drops the dragon. Just making sure he has all angles covered. Doesn't want to tap out and lose to the like Miracle double Collected Company or the Miracle Company into Abs and Rally.
Yeah, Rally the Ancestors, certainly one of those cards that can really adjust the face of the board in a fairly radical fashion, and Nantuko Husk in the graveyard, definitely a piece of that puzzle. Here's Duress.
What are you working with?
2 Collected Companies and another Cutthroat. soon to be one collected company, another cutthroat.
Yeah, and now Lukas knows what's up.
Yeah, I wonder why did he play Evolving Wilds? Did he already play a land last turn? Seems like
Yeah,
he's in a
maybe.
spot where he wouldn't mind having access to 6 mana.
Yeah, maybe hoping to discard it with the Jace, or hoping to bluff some more business than just one collected company now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may have started down a few cards, but the extra cards that Lukas Blohon has drawn off those 2 dig-through times means that any issues that he had have been really compounded here.
Here comes second duress, company in response, gets countered, gets to strip. Oh no, okay, right. He just played it so that Simon has to play it and Lukas can tap out now so he doesn't have to tap out later.
Yeah.
So now Simon needs to draw back-to-back threats. He needs to draw something big for Lukas's end of turn and something on his turn. So yeah, it's gonna be so hard, obviously.
Something's gone horribly awryly.
Horribly awry there, exiling the Catacomb Sifter. It's not even going to come back if we do end up with a Rally of the Ancestors at some point later.
And he knows the path
To victory.
is quite safe right now.
Yeah, if you're going to chant 555, this is a more positive way of chanting 555 as you swing in the air for that amount.
Sifter doesn't even do that much. Might even counter it. Just well, he's at 9, 8. Well, yeah, he could. I could see a counter. He's got at least one Scorn. He doesn't have a removal in his graveyard to get rid of the
Yeah,
cutthroat.
is
He
that
does know about the second cutthroat as well. So yeah, this is probably a counter.
Simon's still not playing his Evolving Wilds.
5.
5, 5, 5.
And is it going to be more counter magic or more dragons? Both of them are pretty good for Lukas Blohon here as we reach the twilight stages of this final game of Grand Prix Brussels.
I think it's more digging.
Going digging.
And if there's someone that needs to be digging, it's really Simon Nielsen here. Lukas Blohon has already found all the buried treasure that he needs.
Take you for 1, 8. Play my second cutthroat. Does Lukas have to counter that one? I think he still wins the race, right? He takes 2 every turn, but he deals 5. He needs 3 attacks, and Simon needs 4. Yeah, doesn't even need to counter it. Oh, and Simon plays Polluted Delta, signaling. Lukas knows about the.
Yeah, he's just like, I think he's given up.
He's like, yeah, you've got it, man. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Simon doesn't have any more basics. Ah, that's why he's got Island, Forest, Plain,
You're
Swamp.
right.
Ooh. That's why the Evolving Wilds was just sat in the hand.
Man, the rain just catches everything. Nothing eludes you. Here comes the Ojutais. Simon goes down to 10. And more blue cards for Lukas.
Just show it. Just show the 4 counters.
I think that's he wants to, but he's showing some respect.
The blocker as well. 5.
And
Yeah, attack
Lukas
with
is
all 3.
Gonna do it again, just like in the semis, dropping game 1 and winning game 2 and 3 after sideboard. Just great stuff from Blohon.
Other end. 1, 2 attacks away now, Lukas. 5.
Yeah. Is this gonna be his first GP title?
I believe so.
Surely not his first GP top 8.
No, he's had several.
Yeah, Lukas has 4 Grand Prix top 8s, but this would be his first title.
This is his first title. There's no
Soon
doubt about
enough.
that.
Simon's like, all right, that uncounterable
Guy has revenge.
obliterate. Guy has revenge.
Evolving Miles.
He's gonna play it out. He's enjoying himself.
He doesn't even morph it. Come on.
Where's the mystery?
Lukas just counters it anyways. Wants no
Little
part.
smirk on Lukas Blohon's face.
Wants no part of it.
Now he's just showing off that he knew he didn't have more basics. He just sacrificed. Yeah, didn't have anymore. I knew it.
He heard us. He heard us critiquing his play. He's like idiot casters. They don't even know what they're talking about. That's why I'm the finals of the GP and they're just behind the mic commentating on my plays. And here's a handshake.
Wow. Great.
Sacrifices the polluted delta so it can't be for exactsies. I love it. And congratulations to Lukas Blohon winning 2 games to 1 over Simon Nielsen with his Esper Dragons list. The first Grand Prix title for Lukas.
And look at how happy he is.
Yeah. Jumping
just so
for
tired.
joy.
Oh, here's a smile.
He's had kind of a marathon, though. He's had to play 3 versions of that matchup, one after the other. And there we see, receiving the trophy, a little smile for the cameras there, and we will be getting Lukas Blohon over here just a second. But Gabriel Nassif, Moraine Lebert, we're live. You know what? That was a fantastic final. I was very, very happy to see that we got a chance to find out exactly how good Infinite Obliteration is in the matchup. As it turns out, very good on turn 3. Later on, if you're already in control, maybe you don't even need it.
Yeah, if you're in control, you don't need it. Yeah, you don't want to tap 3 just so your opponent might be able to resolve a couple of spells. You just want to keep up mana. We saw in game 2 and 3, like Nielsen was a little bit unfortunate, but what we also saw that he was playing a couple of low impact creatures, and Lukas was just countering the other important cards. Like, he didn't care about Cutthroat, he didn't care about, like, even 1 and 2 Husky was able to kill, and then from there he kept up mana and he was able to ride his dragon to victory.
Yeah, congratulations to the cabin crew. They picked a great deck for the field, and congratulations, of course, to Lukas Blohon for piloting it so well. It was interesting watching in the field yesterday. I could see that there were some people playing against the Rally the Ancestors deck who hadn't quite figured out exactly what it was doing. They couldn't necessarily read a board and say, is this lethal? How not worried do I need to be? I think that now the world is getting the idea that, yes, you do need to pay attention to this deck. Yes, it can win from all sorts of different board positions, but if you know the matchup, if you know what you're doing, as we've seen, there is a way of defeating it.
Yeah.
And we really shouldn't take away from Team Eureka. They put 3 players in the top 8 with this Rally the Ancestors deck, all absolutely top players. Martin Müller, Magnus Lanto. He had a tough time in the quarterfinals against, well, everyone had a tough time as it turns out against Lukas Blohon, but ultimately they've had a great weekend. We've had a great weekend.
There he is.
Of all of the people who've had a great weekend, I think we should probably get rid of you guys and welcome into the booth Mr. Lukas Blohon, our champion here at Grand Prix Brussels. Grab one of them, Lukas, so that we can all hear you. First up, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your first Grand Prix title. We'll get their little champion trophy in here. See if we can just have that lurking just in front of you. I'll leave that to you, your first one. But that must have been kind of a marathon. 3
it was,
sets of the same matchup again and again and again.
Yes, and the games are so long and so complicated. So I don't know how long it took, but it felt like forever.
It was not quick, but we enjoyed it a lot. How much did you learn about that matchup over the course of the top 8?
A lot. Like today, out of the 9 rounds, I played 6 times.
Wow.
And the first 2 matches, I was like, I didn't know what to do. But then we consulted it with the whole team because no one knew what to do. But in the end, I just knew what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be, which cards matter, how to sideboard. So yeah, I think it's a very big difference between my first match against the deck and the last one.
Yeah, we were just saying amongst the guys that we feel like this Grand Prix ought to have quite a big impact on Standard because firstly, I don't think anyone was ready for either Esper Dragons or Rally the Ancestors.
Yeah, exactly. Field. And like both teams, Cabin Crew and Eureka, we both had like insane win percentages with both decks, and like they had like 3 people in top 8, we had 2 and 1 or 2 people in like top 16.
And now you guys, of course, have all of the information for how that matchup goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a bit of a team debriefing, along with a team celebration for how well you guys have all done. But congratulations, Lukas Blohon. Fantastic performance here at Grand Prix Brussels. But we are now all finished up. We wish you well. This is the last GP that we've got here in Europe for a while, so happy holidays from everyone here on the GP team. Myself, Tim Willoughby, Marijn Leibert, Gabriel Nassif, Steve Leeming and Rich Hagen, and of course Frank Carson, Toby Henker on the text team. But there are more GPs going on this weekend if you want to tune over to GP Atlanta over on twitch.tv/SCG Live. You'll be able to catch the end of that BFZ Limited GP. But from everyone here at Grand Prix Brussels, good night. If you want to stay on the channel, we will host that stream over here too as well. But from here, it's been a long top 8. You can see this guy's tired. We're all gradually wrapping things up here. So good night here from Brussels, and we'll see you in the next one.